She said she was working late. Again. By then, I didn't even ask anymore. I just watched her grab her coat and laptop bag, spray the perfume I bought her for our anniversary, and disappear into the rain like someone with something urgent to escape. I used to wait up, make her tea, ask about her day. Not anymore. We'd been married 9 years, and I knew the rhythm of her lies better than the rhythm of her breathing. The late-night meetings, the sudden silence when I walked into the room, the texts with just a name. Mick. I let it slide until I couldn't. Until I found her unlocked tablet on the kitchen counter, flashing with a message she didn't mean for me to see. "You're so much braver than my husband. He'd never dare." My chest locked. The air turned metallic. I read the thread twice, hoping it would morph into something else. It didn't. Every line was a small knife to the version of life I thought I was living. That night, I didn't confront her. I left. Just packed a small duffel, tossed my phone in the trash at a gas station, and vanished. No note. No scene. Just silence. I needed the kind of pain that reshapes you. I headed west. Changed my name, my body, my face, everything. For 3 years, I was nobody. I worked on boats, farms, a kitchen in Utah, a strip club in Reno. I bled, I healed, I trained. I disappeared into someone harder, quieter, unreadable. Every time I looked in the mirror, I became a little less like the man she cheated on. And then, one day, I read the announcement online. The wedding. Her wedding. To him. Same guy. Same smirk in the photos. Same too-perfect smile. She was wearing the bracelet I gave her. Her new life was a duplicate of our old one, but with better lighting. That's when I bought the suit. I got my invite. You can buy anything with enough cash and a forged last name. They didn't recognize me as I walked in. My hair was darker, jaw tighter, eyes colder. I sat down across from the sweetheart table, right as they clinked glasses and kissed. She didn't flinch. Just smiled and waved like I was some distant cousin. But him, he choked. Fork halfway to his mouth, eyes frozen on mine. He knew. I smiled and raised my glass. Let the ceremony begin. His name was Michael. Mick, as she called him in the messages. The man with the courage I supposedly lacked. He looked like the kind of guy who'd ask for your trust while holding a blade behind his back. Office charmer type. The kind who memorizes HR protocols and flirts just shy of a complaint. A year older than me, maybe 2. Sloppy posture now that he wasn't pretending to impress anyone. But when our eyes locked, he straightened like a soldier. I didn't blink. She laughed beside him. Her hand grazed his shoulder, soft, familiar. It was the same way she used to touch me when we were younger, before secrets, before Mick. Their table was full. Her mother, his brother, some of the old friends we used to invite over for poker and beers on Fridays. None of them recognized me. That was the point. Mick leaned into her, whispered something. She looked over at me, smiled politely again, and went back to her salad. He tried not to look again, but he couldn't stop. Every few seconds, his eyes darted back to mine. A waitress asked if I'd like the chicken or the vegetarian option. "Chicken," I said without taking my eyes off him. "And a whiskey. Neat." She nodded and scurried off. I wasn't there to cause a scene, not yet. I wasn't there to scream or demand answers. I was there to haunt. He started sweating. Subtle at first. His hand trembled slightly when he raised his glass. The best man gave a speech, something about fate and love blooming where it's least expected. I could have laughed. Instead, I reached into my pocket and pulled out a folded photo. Me and her. Our trip to New Orleans. Beignets on her lips. She was laughing, looking at me like I was her whole world. I laid the photo on the edge of the table, angled toward them. Mick saw it. He froze. She noticed his pause and followed his eyes. reached for the photo before he could. Her fingers hovered over it, trembling, then stopped. I saw her jaw twitch. Her eyes narrowed. She stared at the image for a full 5 seconds before whispering something to Mick. He whispered back fast, too fast. That's when I stood. I walked past their table slowly, not looking at either of them now, letting the silence stretch. But before I reached the door, I turned slightly, enough for her to see the scar on my jaw, the one she kissed the night I proposed. Her face changed. The recognition was slow, horrified. But I was already gone. They followed me out 5 minutes later. I stood by the valet circle, facing the fountain, pretending to smoke, though there was nothing between my fingers. Just habit. Just stillness. "Hey!" His voice cracked like a teenager's. "Hey, man!" I turned, slowly. Mick came down the stairs first, jacket unbuttoned, tie crooked now. She followed, heels clacking sharp against the marble, her face pale and focused. He got close. Too close. "What the hell is this?" he hissed. "What are you doing here?" I tilted my head. Beautiful ceremony. Really, she looks radiant. She stopped 3 steps behind him. Her hands clutched the fabric of her dress like she was bracing for a storm. "You're alive," she said. "Surprised?" I asked. Mick blinked. You were gone. You disappeared. Everyone thought that I killed myself." I smiled. "You'd like that, wouldn't you?" "No," she whispered. "I didn't." "Save it." I turned to Mick. "Tell me, do you still get off on the rush? Sneaking around? Stealing what's not yours?" He tried to puff himself up. "You don't get to talk to me like that. You're not even—" "I'm not what? Her husband?" I stepped in close. "Did you marry her thinking she wouldn't do to you what she did to me?" He flinched. That silence between us, it cracked something open. Her eyes flicked between us. She was breathing hard now. Not out of fear, no. Rage. "I never heard from you," she said. 3 years. No goodbye, no message, nothing. You just left." "And what exactly should I have said?" I asked. "That I read your little love letters to Mick? That I finally saw you for who you really were?" "You don't know what I went through," she snapped. I laughed. "What you went through? I buried a man. I tore him out of my skin and remade every inch, while you played house with this cardboard cutout." Mick stepped in again, hand raised like he thought he could calm me. "Look, we didn't mean to—" "Mean to what?" I said quietly. "Ruin a life? Steal someone's wife? You think didn't mean to erases that?" He looked at her. She looked at me. "You don't scare me," he muttered, but his voice betrayed him. "I'm not here to scare you," I said. "I'm here to make sure you remember something. I was the man she built a life with. I was the one who knew her dreams, her fears, her tells. I was her mirror." I leaned in. And mirrors always come back, eventually. I left them standing in the echo of that truth. Walked down the drive into the dark, their wedding music still playing behind me. I knew they wouldn't sleep tonight. Good. I checked into a cheap motel an hour out of town. No windows facing the main road, no cameras in the lobby. The kind of place where no one asks for your ID if you pay in cash. I lay on the bed, staring at the cracked ceiling, feeling nothing. Not anger, not triumph. Just a hollow weight pressing into my ribs. I thought seeing them would help. Thought watching Mick squirm would feel like justice. It didn't. The truth is, I didn't leave that day just because she cheated. I left because I didn't recognize myself anymore. Every room in our house had become a place I couldn't breathe. Her laughter had turned into a code I no longer knew how to crack. And when I read those messages, "You're braver than my husband," it wasn't just betrayal. It was confirmation. She'd outgrown me, or thought she had. 3 years ago, I vanished to prove something. Not to her, to myself. But now I was back, and the mirror I'd become wasn't showing her anything she wanted to see. A knock on the door pulled me from the spiral. 3 short taps, familiar rhythm. I didn't move. Another knock. Softer. "Please," came her voice. "I know you're in there." I opened the door. She stood there in a hoodie over her wedding dress, makeup smeared, bare feet dirty from the parking lot. Her eyes were red, but not from crying. "I shouldn't be here," she said. "No," I agreed. She stepped in anyway. I watched her look around the room, at the flickering light above the sink, the stains on the carpet. She used to flinch at motel sheets. Now she didn't care, or pretended not to. "You didn't die," she said, sitting at the edge of the bed. "I did," I said. "You just never buried me." She looked at her hands, twisted her wedding ring, the new one. "Why tonight?" she asked. "Why come back now?" I sat across from her. "Because I had to see it. I had to know if you regretted it." She laughed, but it cracked halfway through. "You think I don't? You think I sleep peacefully?" "You looked peaceful enough standing next to him." "That's not peace," she said. "That's performance." Silence stretched again. Then she whispered, "You know what hurts the most?" I said nothing. "That you disappeared so completely, like I didn't even deserve your rage, like I wasn't even worth hating." I leaned forward. "You weren't." She nodded, swallowed hard. "I had to keep going. I couldn't sit in the wreckage." "You built a new house right on top of the old one's ashes." "I know," she said. "And some nights, I think it's still burning underneath." She stood up, walked to the door. "I just needed to see you, needed to know if you were real." I nodded once, that was all. Before she left, she turned back. "He's scared of you, you know." "Good," I said. "You came back different, harder, colder. You made me." She hesitated, then stepped out into the night, and once again, I was alone. But not broken. Not anymore. The morning after, I found a note under my door. No envelope, no name, just 4 words scrawled in rushed handwriting. "He's hiding something too." No signature, no context, just that. At first I assumed it was her. Maybe guilt made her want to even the scales. But the more I stared at the ink, the more it felt wrong. The handwriting was too tight, masculine, deliberate, and she'd never used the word "to." She'd always said as well, even in texts. So who? I folded the note, slid it into my wallet, and dressed. Same suit from the wedding, now wrinkled and smoke-scented. I didn't care. There was something about Mick. The way his voice cracked when I showed up. Not surprise, fear, real, bone-deep fear, and not of me, of something else. I started where anyone would, LinkedIn. His job was listed as Strategic Partnerships Director at a mid-size firm downtown. Fancy words for someone who made polished PowerPoints and kissed clients' asses. His office wasn't hard to find. Corporate glass box, 2nd floor, too much sunlight, and not enough soul. I waited outside, watched him arrive. Alone. No wife. No ring. That was new. He moved quickly, glancing over his shoulder more than once before disappearing inside. I waited an hour, then another. At noon, he came out again, phone pressed to his ear, walking fast. I tailed him 3 blocks, careful not to be seen. He ducked into a bar, low-lit and half-empty, the kind you pick when you don't want your co-workers to know what you're doing on lunch break. He wasn't alone. A man was waiting in the corner booth. Older, gray suit, no tie, expensive watch. They didn't shake hands, just sat, stiff. Mick was sweating again. I slipped inside, found a seat 2 tables away facing the bar, ordered coffee, kept my head down. Their conversation was quiet, but Mick's voice carried when it rose. Just once. "You said this was done. I paid you. You said—" The older man leaned forward, said something I couldn't hear. Mick went pale. They left separately. No eye contact, no warmth. Whatever this was, it wasn't work. And it wasn't legal. I waited until both were gone before slipping into the booth they'd used. Something told me to look. And there it was. A receipt. Carelessly left, folded inside the leather check holder. $8, 2 coffees, paid in cash. But on the back, scribbled in blue ink, were 4 numbers, coordinates. I entered them into my phone. It was an address, a storage unit, edge of town. Mick had secrets, and I wasn't done yet. The storage facility was the kind of place no one visited during daylight unless they were fleeing something or hiding it. Rows of gray roll-up doors stretched like forgotten graves, each identical, each whispering, "Don't ask questions." Unit 1147, that's what the coordinates led to. I waited until dusk. No cameras near the row, no foot traffic, just silence and the low hum of sodium lights. The lock was basic, too basic. Either Mick was arrogant or desperate. I jimmied it open with a tension wrench and rake. Years ago, I couldn't have done that. But I wasn't the man from years ago. The door rolled up with a metallic groan. Inside, darkness, dust, and then a faint smell. Bleach. That got my pulse ticking. I clicked on my flashlight. Cardboard boxes, stacked in the back, labeled in thick black marker. Archives, June to December, client materials. But I wasn't looking for what was labeled. I was looking for what wasn't. The first box was full of papers, contracts, proposals, all corporate fluff. I kept digging. Third box, something heavier. A laptop, older model, covered in dust, no charger. I slipped it into my bag. Fourth box, photo frames, mostly of him and... not her. Not my wife. Another woman. Brunette. Young. Repeated in multiple shots. Sometimes beside Mick. Sometimes just her, in hotels, balconies, parties. One frame was cracked. The photo inside had been ripped, then carefully taped back together. Her face was blurred from the tear, but the date printed in the bottom corner read, June 21st, 2022. 2 months after I disappeared. I flipped it over. A single word was scratched into the back, deep and angry. Sorry. Suddenly, this wasn't about infidelity anymore. I found a locked metal case at the bottom of the stack, unlabeled, small. I forced it open with a flathead screwdriver I'd brought for exactly this kind of curiosity. Inside, a gun, 9mm, clean, oiled, recently used. Alongside it, a manila envelope, documents, scans of emails, legal letters. One had the letterhead of a woman's name I didn't recognize, a lawyer. Another had a hospital's logo. There was a death certificate. Same woman as in the photos. Date of death, June 24th, 2022, 3 days after that balcony photo. Cause, undetermined, under investigation. I froze. This wasn't a fling. This was a cover-up. And Mick, he didn't just steal my wife. He buried something darker under her smile. I closed the box, relocked the unit, and walked out without looking back. The game had changed, and now it wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. By midnight, I was parked across from their house. Her car was there. His wasn't. Figures. I had the gun in the glove box, still in its case. I wasn't going to use it, at least not yet. But I wanted him to know I'd found it. I wanted him to feel what I'd felt the day I saw those messages. Cornered. Helpless. Exposed. I waited until the lights went off inside, gave it another 20. Then I walked up the drive. She answered before I could knock, like she'd been waiting. I thought you'd come. I stepped inside without asking. She closed the door behind me. Where is he? Still at work, or pretending to be. Good. She looked like she hadn't slept. Hair tied up hastily, sweatshirt inside out. No ring this time. You know about her, I said. She didn't pretend not to understand. I found a photo once, in his sock drawer. She had the same earrings I gave him to give his assistant last year. Her name was Ellie. She nodded slowly. I didn't know. You didn't ask. She flinched. Do you want to know what I found in his storage unit? I asked. Her eyes rose. Photos, emails, a gun, a death certificate, undetermined cause, June 2022. She looked away. Jesus. Did he ever tell you about her? She shook her head. I pulled the picture from my pocket, the one I'd taken from the frame. Ellie on the balcony, happy, young, unaware. She died 3 days after this. I let the silence settle. Then I placed the envelope on her kitchen table. He's hiding more than a mistake. He's hiding a crime. She sat. Didn't speak. Just stared at the photo like it was a ghost. He told me he loved me, she whispered after a moment. He told me he was helping you pick out a birthday gift when I called him that night. She laughed, but it sounded broken. I reached into my jacket, pulled the gun case, set it beside the photo. Her breath hitched. Why are you showing me this? Because you still have a choice. You can keep sleeping beside him, or you can wake up. She looked at the gun, then at me. What are you going to do? I already did it. The files, the emails, the photos. They're with a lawyer now, someone I trust. If anything happens to me, everything goes to the police. She nodded slowly. He won't forgive this, she said. Number. But I'm not doing this for forgiveness. She stood, suddenly. I want to help. I studied her. Why? Because I didn't just betray a husband, she said. I betrayed a good man. I can't undo that, but maybe I can stop something worse. The front door opened. Footsteps. He was home. Time to end this. He stepped into the kitchen, mid-sentence. Sorry. Phone died, Then he saw me. Stopped cold. His eyes moved from my face to the table. Photo, gun case, envelope. Then to her. She didn't look away. What is this? He asked, barely holding composure. I didn't speak. She did. Sit down, Mick. He laughed, nervous. What's going on? Sit. Something in her tone made him obey. He lowered himself into the chair, eyes darting between us. Okay, so, someone want to explain? I slid the envelope toward him. Start there. He opened it, hands shaking now. One glance at the death certificate, and the air changed. His lips parted, but no sound came. You remember her? I asked. He looked at me, then at the photo. You broke into my... No, I interrupted. I opened a door. One you never locked properly. Like your lies. He turned to her. You believe this? I believe she's dead, she said quietly. And I believe you buried more than the truth. He sat back like someone had struck him. You don't know what you're doing. No, I said, but the police will. The files are with a lawyer. If I vanish, they go public. He paled. His mask was slipping fast now. The practiced charm, the fake humility, it all cracked under pressure. He wasn't used to losing control. You think this scares me? He tried. I leaned in. It should. She stood then, walked around the table, looked at him not like a lover, but like someone watching a stranger. I lied for you once, she said. I won't do it again. You have no idea what you're throwing away, he growled. No, she said. I'm finally starting to see it. I turned toward the door. He didn't follow. He didn't speak. She stood in the doorway behind me. "What now?" she asked. "You decide. You're not coming back, are you?" I shook my head. I was never supposed to. I stepped into the night, the door closing behind me. No sirens yet. But they were coming, sooner or later. And when they arrived, I'd already be gone. A ghost in a borrowed name, a scar she'd never stop seeing, a mirror, shattered, but never forgotten.